What is going on, guys and girls? My name is James, or ThnxCya. Welcome back today to Roblox. How are we doing, everyone? Welcome back, welcome back. Today, of course, it is time once again for some brand new Bee Swarm Simulator. And today, as promised, I'm going to be trying to create the ultimate guide to mutations inside Bee Swarm Simulator. So yeah, we're going to be talking all things mutations. We're going to be talking about the items, ways to get them, and then a little bit later on in the video, we're actually going to be doing a bunch of mutations ourselves to test out all of the theories and rates. So yeah, I wanted to wait a little while to actually make this video. 3, 2, 1, claim the hive. And yeah, the reason why is obviously mutations are pretty new into the game. So I wanted to kind of play the update a little bit first, experience how we're going to get these items, how they work, all that good stuff. And yeah, this should be kind of interesting, hopefully. So we're going to begin here just talking about the actual mutations themselves and which mutations currently exist inside the game. However, what I would say is that as of right this very moment in time, mutations just came into the game as of this update. So from keeping up to date with what Onnit was saying and things that he was implementing into the test realm, we kind of worked out, I guess, that mutations aren't like fully implemented into the game. Well, they kind of are, but I think that Onnit does have some cool events and stuff planned for the future to do with mutations, and I do expect that we will see more of that kind of stuff in the next update. But the good news is everything is in the game. It is all currently working. It is really, really fun to mutate your bees. And yeah, shall we begin with the different types of mutation? So if we take a look at my hive here, you can see that a few of my numbers aren't white. So this is essentially the easiest way to tell which bees are mutated and which ones aren't. Now, the cool thing is that the color of the number, which will be the level that that bee is, essentially tells you what type of mutation that bee has. So a couple of mutations have the same color, but you'll see in a minute they're kind of pretty closely related. So let's start right from the beginning. If you see a red number next to a bee, this means that it has one of two kind of attack mutations. So the two types of attack mutations are a percentage attack increase. So for example, with my vicious bee here, I have a plus 10% attack, and then you also have a standard attack boost, which you can see on my vector bee here. So instead of having a percentage, it is just a +1 attack. So both of those will always be shown as red on the hive. Next up, we have the orange mutations, and these ones are the convert amount mutation. So I think I have a couple of these on my bees. For example, here with my photon, I have a plus convert amount. So this is just a plus certain amount of convert. And I think that's the same on this ninja bee up here. No, it's not, actually. Look at that. So this is a percentage convert amount. So it's either a set rate or a percentage, a little bit similar to the attack in that kind of way, I guess. And those are shown as orange on the hive. Now, the next color we have is green, and once again, much like the previous two, there are two different types within the same bracket. So these go towards mutations that are the color green, and these ones are gather amount. So for example, this windy bee has a plus 16% gather amount. Now, I don't have another green one as of right this very moment, but it's exactly the same as the previous two. There is a percentage amount and then just a set amount multiplier. So both of those will be green on the hive. Now, the final two colors, I don't actually have an example of them right now, but I'm hoping by the end of the video, we'll actually be able to see them. However, there are two more, and these ones just have a single color each. So if you see kind of like a light blue color, this is a energy increase, which will be a percentage energy increase for that bee. And then the final one, which will be a purple color, will be an increase in that bee's ability rate. So that basically means that that bee will be able to generate its ability tokens that little bit quicker. So yeah, the light blue energy and the purple ability rate we don't have on any of our bees just yet, but maybe, just maybe, by the end of the video, I'll be able to show you what they actually look like. Before we actually talk about the items and stuff, and we talk about what they actually do and how to use them best and all that kind of stuff, people are probably wondering, well, which is the best mutation to get? To be honest with you, I actually don't think that there is any bad mutation. So I've been reading through loads and loads of people's opinions about the mutation system, and it seems that people are most disappointed when they get the percentage energy increase. Just because, that's the one that doesn't really do too much except keep that bee in the field for a little bit longer. But what I would say is that if you're someone that doesn't have too many polar power quests done, so I have 1,870, which gives me loads and loads of bee energy. But if you don't have quite so many of those, then the energy stat is still pretty useful, although I would say that yes, some of these other stats are a little bit better. So you can kind of work out roughly which ones are best for each bee. So for example, with something like a vicious bee, something which has really nice attack, obviously it's quite nice to have the attack mutation on top of that. But yeah, I really don't think there is any kind of bad mutation. Obviously, although a mutation is permanent to a bee, you can then still re-roll that mutation later on. But I do think it doesn't matter what you actually get on the mutations. I think the first goal is to try and mutate every single bee in the hive, and then after that's finished, go back and maybe try and re-roll the ones that you're not too happy with and try and get a slightly better one. But to be honest with you, any mutation is better than no mutation. Okay, so now we've actually gone over what kind of mutations you can get. Let's just quickly talk about the 3 main items that you can use to mutate your bees. So there are other ways that you can do it, and we'll go through them all in a lot more detail in just a second. But just to go over them very, very quickly, of course, we have the bitterberry. So this is an item which increases your bee bond by 100 each bitterberry you use, and it has a chance of causing a small mutation. Well, it has a small chance of causing a mutation. So next up you have the neon berry. This increases your bond by 500, and this always makes your bee radioactive when you use them. Now this is not permanently radioactive, this is a temporary radiation, but this is so important for making your bees mutated. We'll talk about that in just a second. And then the third item is the atomic treat. Now this, I guess, is like the special one because this always causes your bee to mutate. So you don't even have to make it radioactive. You just feed an atomic treat to your bee and boom, it will instantly have a random mutation applied to it. So if you ever go and walk up to someone's hive and you see some random glowing slots, you will see that some of these bees have this little orange symbol next to them, and that means that that bee is currently radioactive. So there are a couple of ways that you can actually get your bees to become radioactive. Number one is already have a mutated bee or two in your hive, and what tends to happen is once you have a mutated bee, it will randomly become radioactive, and that radioactivity will spread to other slots in and around that bee. So for example here, I actually have a mutated vicious bee, and because that is mutated, it's become radioactive randomly, and it's actually spread to the shocked bee slot. Now this shocked bee is not mutated, but it is currently radioactive, and that is a really good thing if I want to actually cause a mutation in that bee. The second way, of course, is to feed a bee neon berries. Now, it seems like the best way to actually cause a mutation in your bee is to use bitter berries and neon berries together to cut your chances down of causing a permanent mutation. So you can feed bitter berries to a random bee when it's not radioactive. However, if you feed bitter berries, you only have a 1 in 1,000 chance of causing a permanent mutation. However, if that bee is radioactive, so it actually has the little symbol and it's glowing green, you cut the odds of using bitter berries to cause a mutation from 1 in 1,000 to 1 in 100. So my advice would be, if you are going to use your bitter berries, always make sure that that slot is radioactive. So if you don't have any mutated bees and you want to get started, hopefully if you can find a neon berry or two, feed the neon berry to whatever bee you want, make it radioactive, and then feed your bitter berries. And hopefully, fingers crossed, you've got a 1 in 100 chance of causing that bee to permanently mutate. Now, in terms of those items, you may be thinking, well, where do we actually get them from to begin with? So yeah, from playing through the game and through sort of reading through and this, that, and the other, in terms of bitter berries, it seems like the most efficient place to get bitter berries currently is by taking down the coconut crab. So for me, this is just what delivers me the most amount of bitter berries at each given time. However, do not fear if you can't take down the coconut crab, because there are other ways to get bitter berries. So from what I've seen, I have actually had some from the spider. But I've also seen that apparently people have got them from the scorpions, from the tunnel bear, and even from ladybugs. Now, as well as that, the cub buddy has also once or twice given me bitterberries. It gave me 5 in one go, which was really nice. Apparently, you can also get them from leaves, and when on it spawns in a debug sprout, which is the brand new sprout that only drops mutation-style items, you can get a bunch of them from those. They're black, and it will say it on the screen. It will say, on it spawned in a debug sprout, or something like that. They're amazing. So neon berries, the ones that actually cause your bee to become radioactive and glow green, these ones, once again, you can apparently find these in and around the map. So I think I found a couple of them from, where did I find them? I think I found them from the king beetle. But apparently you can also find these from the mantis, from the rhino beetle, and from leaves as well. So I did have a few people tell me that they found them in the pineapple patch, but I feel like they probably just found them from the leaves. I'm not too sure. Of course, these are going to be very rare drops, so you're going to have to get lucky if you actually try and find them. And then thirdly, the atomic treat, which is the one that instantly causes a mutation. It is a rare drop from the coconut crab. I've taken down the coconut crab twice now in like the past few days, and I think I've got 1 atomic treat from it, I think. And you can also get them from the packs. And of course, there are all of these items found in the gifts and rewards from the latest update quest lines and presents. So we'll talk about like the other items that you can use to cause radiations in just a second, but I kind of wanted to do a little bit of an example. And yeah, what we're going to do is we're just going to pick a random bee and we're going to go through the process as if I were to go for a mutation. So let's just pick something completely random. Let's go for this carpenter bee down here. So currently nothing around it is radioactive, and it might take a while for the radioactivity from my mutated photon bee to actually get to this point. But it's not too much of a problem, because what we do is we feed it 1 single neon berry, and that allows us a temporary radiation. And then what we can do is we can actually start feeding bitter berries to this bee. Now, I could technically just hit 50 and they're all gone just like that, but I kind of want to do them one by one, just for science, and see how many we actually need to use. So I'm going to go through this, I'm going to feed this one by one, and I'm going to count them, and we're going to see how long it takes us to actually get a mutation. So this is currently number 4, and this is currently number 5. I'll be back in a second. Ah, there we go, 77. So yeah, that took me 77 individual bitter berries to turn my carpenter bee and give it a mutation. So in this case, we got an attack mutation, which isn't exactly ideal for a carpenter bee, but you know what, I'll take it. I'll just take any mutation right now. So yeah, just for science, I thought I'd do them one by one, and we actually got 77 of them. So let's try this again with a completely different bee, and this time we're going to feed it in groups of 50. So the thing is, technically, you could actually feed 1 single bitterberry to a radioactive bee and it could mutate, but that's kind of the sort of choice you have to make when you're actually doing this. But always make sure it's radioactive, as I mentioned. That really cuts down your percentage chance. So I'll tell you what, let's just go randomly for this bumblebee. So let's make the bumblebee radioactive, and this time around, we're actually going to feed it in groups of 50. So we're ready, the first 50? Well, there we go. See, 50 and we didn't get a single thing. Let's feed it 100. There we go. So we got it in 100. So first time around we used 77, and this time around we've used 100, and we've gained 2 mutations from 177 bitterberries. So this one has got gather amount. Now for science, what I want to do is I want to do it a third time and feed them one by one, just to see if we can get lucky. So let's go to the gummy bee. Let's make that radioactive, and then let's go one by one here on the bitterberries. Let's start from 1 again and see if we can beat 77. Oh, that was 112 that time. Dude. Okay, so once again, we got an attack mutation. That seems to be the one that we're getting most often. So our first one doing one by one was 77. Our second one doing by 50s was, I guess, 100. And then doing them one by one again, that was 112. So I guess this is kind of interesting to see which one is the most efficient way of doing it. So we're going to use all these bitterberries for science, because why not? So let's just go down once again to this bumblebee. Let's just make it radioactive. Let's do it in 50s again. So boom, 50, didn't get one. Up to 100 again, didn't get one. Oh my goodness, 150, didn't get one. 200, oh, 200, we didn't get one. 247 for our final 2% plus gather amount. So make of that what you will. That was our entire stack of bitterberries. I wanted to do it for science, to basically show you guys how's best to do it, to be honest with you. Based off what we've just seen there, seeing as it's supposed to be 1 in 100, I kind of feel like overall we actually got better results from feeding them one by one. I guess if you want to do them in 50s, if you're a bit more impatient, if you want to spend the time doing them one by one, I guess technically we got more mutated bees, I think. I haven't done the maths, but it felt like that. Damn, 247 for a bomber bee? Are you kidding? Dude. But yeah, there we go. So that's kind of how we are going to mutate bees. Always make sure it's radioactive, and then use your bitterberries efficiently as possible. But there are also other ways that you can actually achieve mutations on your bees. So there are other items that you can use. To be honest with you, I would recommend just going for the bitterberries and the neon berry combination. However, if you want to, you can also use moon charms. So the percentages for moon charms are actually pretty high. So if your bee is not radioactive, so if it's just a regular slot without the radioactive symbol, and if it isn't glowing green, it is a 1 in 10,000 chance to mutate from feeding that bee moon charms. However, if that slot is radioactive, that amount drops to 1 in 2,500. So we actually have 4,600 moon charms, and I was curious. I was like, can we actually get a mutation from using our moon charms? So, which slot should we pick? Now, here's the thing. If we didn't have any neon berries, we could wait for one of our mutated bees to essentially radiate one of the bees around it. But because we do have a bunch of neon berries, let's just pick a random bee once again. There's no reason why I'm picking these bees. I'm just sort of doing them because why not? Let's go for, shall we go for, I tell you what, let's go with the basic bee. Why not? A bit of fun. So yeah, let's use our neon berry on our basic bee that is now radioactive, and we are going to start feeding moon charms in groups of 50. So I think that's probably more reasonable. So yeah, I'm going to start counting these. I'm going to start feeding these in groups of 50, and let's see if we can get a mutation using these. Oh, 250. Whoa, okay. So moon charms, they said there were a 1 in 2,500 chance, but we have pulled one in 250 moon charms. Dude, I feel like that was kind of lucky. Hey, so yeah, we got a gather amount on that one. Let's do one more with moon charms just for a bit of fun. So let's go for what should we go for? Should we go for the crimson bee down here? I don't think the type of bee actually changes this at all. I don't think that it's harder to get them on higher level bees or anything. So yeah, let's start this again. 100. Whoa! 3,250 to get the crimson bee to mutate using moon charms. So you can see the difference in there. The basic bee we used 250. The crimson bee we had to use over 3,000 moon charms in order to get it. So essentially what we've seen here is from using any type of thing, there is obviously a huge amount of luck. The only thing that you can do in order to get these is to make sure you give yourself the best odds possible by making sure that bee is radiated, it has the little orange symbol next to it, and then start feeding the items that you want to feed. So moon charms are one way of doing it. You can also feed the special treats, which are the sunflowers, the strawberries, the pineapples, the blueberries. However, if radiated, I think these are a 1 in 25,000 chance to cause a mutation. So, I mean, you could get lucky and you can get it in like 100 maybe, but you could also not get lucky and use your entire stack. So to be honest with you, I would save your special treats for use in the blender. I feel like that's going to be more useful to you. But yeah, you can also as well. Now, this is the interesting one. Unfortunately, we can't really test this one out, but on it did say that if a bee is radioactive, a royal jelly or a star jelly has a 1 in 100 chance to cause a mutated bee to spawn. Now, you may think that this is amazing, a 1 in 100 chance. However, the only problem if you're using a star jelly or a royal jelly is that that bee is obviously going to change each time you use one. So if you are slightly lower on in in the game and you're still building your hive and you're still looking for different bees, then yeah, that's going to be a good idea to use royal jellies and star jellies and stuff. However, if you're someone like myself who has a hive that you kind of quite like, I don't think I'm going to use any royal jellies, even though the odds are pretty low. Instead, I'm going to try and stick with the bitter berries, I think, as my primary source of mutating. So yeah, to kind of summarize that bit, I guess, what I would recommend is trying to use your bitter berries. From what I can tell, I think I'm going to feed mine one by one, just based off the experience we've just had there. I might occasionally try some moon charms, but I have burnt through most of my moon charms trying to get that crimson bee. And obviously moon charms can be used for other things as well, so it's quite nice to have those just in case. But obviously as well, we do have 7 atomic treats. So these ones are quite simply the easy way to get a mutation. These will always cause a 100% mutation. So for example, boom, we get ourselves a mutation on the bear bee. If we go and do one here on, I don't know, the music bee, boom, we always get a mutation. And for the sake of science, if we go and pick a bee that we're not particularly happy with, so yeah, I don't know, just for the sake of it, we have a mutated bomber bee, just so I can show you in this video. Yes, you can re-roll. So you can do this once again by feeding more bitter berries and stuff to it, see if you can get a second mutation. However, just to show that the mutations, although they are permanent, you can actually change the actual mutation. So yeah, if we just once again use like an atomic treat straight over the top of this bomber bee, you can see there that we can actually change the mutation. So yeah, what you could do is, if you weren't happy with that, you could either use an atomic treat. That seems a bit extreme. What you could do instead is you could once again start feeding it bitter berries and stuff, make sure it's radioactive, and yeah, you can essentially re-roll the stat that you get. So yeah, that is, I think, pretty much everything that I want to say about mutation at this point in time. So as I did mention at the beginning of the video, it seems like we are going to have a few more mutation-style events in the future, which I'm really looking forward to. But what I would say is that I don't think any mutation is particularly bad. Obviously, some are a bit better than other ones, but I would just try and slowly work on mutating as many bees as possible. And yeah, save up those bitter berries, make sure you go and do your bosses. That seems like a really nice way of getting them. Keep your eyes out if Onyx spawns in a debug sprout. Save them up, and yeah, good luck. I hope you get some good stuff. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully it was useful in some way. I really hope so. And yeah, if you did enjoy this, please remember to poke me in that like button. And if you are not yet subscribed, go for it, because we do Roblox done fun. But until next time, thank you once again for watching. It's been such a pleasure. As always, thanks. And see ya.